First Contact Comedy Commander Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony, watching the stars slowly drift past the main view screen. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment, humanity's first official diplomatic mission beyond the Sol system. Her fleet of 4 ships carried Earth's best diplomats, scientists, and peacekeepers, all ready to make history. The Harmony was humanity's pride, equipped with the latest fusion drives and quantum communication arrays. Alongside her traveled the research vessel Discovery, the supply ship Endeavour, and the escort frigate Guardian. Each ship represented years of human ingenuity and hope for peaceful contact with alien civilizations. Dr. Marcus Webb, the mission's chief diplomat, approached Sarah's command chair. His weathered face showed the excitement of a man who had spent his entire career preparing for this day. "Commander, we're approaching the coordinates where the automated probe detected those structured signals. If the analysis is correct, we should encounter our first alien civilization within the next few hours." Sarah nodded, feeling her heart rate increase slightly. "All stations maintain readiness protocols. This is what we've trained for, people. Let's make humanity proud." Lieutenant Alex Rivera, the fleet's communications specialist, suddenly straightened at his console. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy signatures ahead. Multiple contacts arranged in what appears to be a defensive formation." The main screen shifted to show the tactical display. 12 enormous vessels hung in space, each one dwarfing the human ships. Their design was unlike anything in Earth's databases. Curved hulls covered in elaborate decorations with flowing lines that seemed more artistic than functional. "Size estimate?" Sarah asked. "The largest is approximately 8 kilometers long, Commander. They're positioned in a perfect ceremonial formation, almost like they're putting on a display." Engineer Rosa Santos looked up from her station with wide eyes. "Commander, I'm reading their power signatures. These ships are running on technology that's, well, it's actually less efficient than our fusion reactors. They're big, but they're not exactly advanced." Before Sarah could respond, space around the human fleet suddenly erupted in brilliant colors. Holographic displays materialized everywhere, images of burning worlds, marching armies, and dramatic battle scenes. The effect was certainly impressive, like watching the galaxy's most expensive fireworks show. A voice boomed across all frequencies, speaking in a language that sounded like classical opera mixed with Shakespearean theater. "Behold, insignificant creatures of the void, you have entered the sacred domain of the mighty galactic hegemony. I am Emperor Xylothian the Magnificent, conqueror of 10,000 worlds, bearer of the cosmic scepter of ultimate dominion." Alex quickly activated the translation protocols. As the alien's words appeared on screen in English, he had to bite his lip to keep from smiling. The translation software was having trouble with the flowery language, producing sentences like, "Surrender now before our terrible beauty destroys your tiny minds with its overwhelming magnificence." The Emperor continued his speech, each word more dramatic than the last. "Your pathetic vessels dare to trespass in our glorious realm. We demand immediate and total surrender. Your species will serve the hegemony for all eternity, catalogued between the weeping jellyfish of Sector 7 and the trembling rock beings of the outer darkness." Dr. Webb covered his mouth with his hand, his shoulders shaking with barely contained laughter. The alien's dramatic pause after trembling rock beings was timed like a comedian waiting for applause. Furthermore, the Emperor declared, "You will witness our parade of inevitable doom." The holographic displays shifted to show what appeared to be a military parade, complete with elaborate costumes and synchronized dancing. The alien soldiers were performing what could only be described as a combination of marching and interpretive dance. Rosa Santos lost her composure first. She burst into laughter so loudly that everyone on the bridge could hear her. "Commander," she gasped between giggles, "they're doing a musical number. Look at their formation. It's choreographed." The alien commander's voice returned, sounding confused. "What are these strange vibrations we detect? Are your ships malfunctioning? Do your fear processing units require maintenance?" Lieutenant Rivera tried to explain while fighting his own laughter. "Emperor Xylothian, those sounds are called laughter. It's what humans do when we find something amusing or when we're happy. There was a long pause. Then, in a much smaller voice, the Emperor asked, "Amusing? You find our demonstration of supreme power amusing?" Dr. Webb stepped forward, realizing this was a crucial diplomatic moment despite the absurdity. "Your Magnificence, we're deeply impressed by your creative approach to first contact. We've never encountered such an artistic civilization before." "Artistic?" The Emperor's voice cracked slightly. "We are not artists. We are conquerors, destroyers of worlds, bringers of cosmic doom." "Right," Webb said gently. "And you do it with such style and creativity. It's honestly quite beautiful." Meanwhile, Rosa had been analyzing the alien technology more carefully. "Commander," she whispered, "their mighty war fleet is using technology that we abandoned 50 years ago. Their power output is roughly equivalent to our cargo haulers, and their weapons are basically really big laser pointers." The Emperor was still speaking, his voice becoming increasingly frantic. "Perhaps you did not understand our terrible display of might. Allow us to demonstrate the dance of inevitable surrender." The alien ships began moving in a complex pattern, spinning and weaving through space while projecting more holographic displays. It was undeniably impressive from an artistic standpoint, but as a military demonstration it was like watching a ballet troupe try to be intimidating. Alex couldn't help himself. "Your Magnificence, that's absolutely beautiful. The synchronization is perfect. How long did it take your people to choreograph that?" Another long pause. "Choreograph? It's not choreographed. It's a battle formation, a demonstration of our tactical superiority." Dr. Webb realized they were dealing with a civilization that had developed intimidation tactics, but had never encountered anyone who wasn't immediately terrified. "Emperor Xylothian, could you tell us more about your hegemony? We're very interested in learning about your culture." The Emperor seemed to puff up with pride. "Very well. Since you will soon be our subjects anyway, you may learn of our greatness. The mighty galactic hegemony has ruled the stars for over 3,000 years. Our empire spans the cosmos, bringing order to chaos and magnificence to the mundane." Rosa was monitoring the alien communications when she picked up what appeared to be an internal transmission. "Commander, I think we're accidentally receiving their private communications. Listen to this." A different alien voice came through, speaking in worried tones. "Emperor, the humans aren't cowering in fear. What do we do if they ask us to prove we've conquered 10,000 worlds?" "Stick to the script, General Kravex," came the Emperor's reply. "No one must know that we've never actually conquered anything. Our intimidation techniques have always worked before. But sir, what if they realize we've never been in a real battle? What if they find out our weapons of mass destruction are actually just really good lighting effects?" The human bridge. Crew exchanged glances. The mighty galactic empire was starting to sound more like a community theater group that had gotten carried away with their performance. Dr. Webb decided to test his theory. "Your Magnificence, we're curious about your military conquests. Could you tell us about your most recent victory?" The pause was so long that Alex wondered if the communication had been cut off. Finally, the Emperor responded. Our most recent victory was very recent. So recent that the details are still classified for security reasons." "Of course," Webb replied diplomatically. "And your empire spans how many star systems exactly?" "Many," the Emperor declared quickly. "Countless systems. More systems than can be easily counted." Rosa was now openly grinning as she analyzed more of their intercepted communications. "Commander, according to their own internal messages, the mighty galactic hegemony consists of exactly 12 star systems, all within a relatively small cluster. They've never actually been more than 30 light-years from their homeworld." Sarah stepped forward, realizing they needed to handle this delicate situation carefully. These aliens weren't a threat. They were a peaceful civilization that had developed elaborate theatrical traditions but had never encountered anyone who didn't share their cultural background. "Emperor Xylothian," she said warmly, "we're honored to meet the first alien civilization humanity has ever encountered. Rather, then conquest or surrender. Would you be interested in cultural exchange and friendship? The Emperor's voice returned, sounding genuinely confused. Friendship? But we're the mighty galactic hegemony. We don't do friendship. We do conquest and domination and cosmic superiority. Well, Dr. Webb suggested gently, perhaps you could try something new? We humans have found that friendship often works better than conquest for building lasting relationships between different peoples. There was a very long pause. Then, in a much quieter voice, Emperor Xylothian asked, Would friendship involve less shouting? Because all this dramatic speaking is actually quite tiring and my throat hurts. Lieutenant Rivera had to cover his mouth to keep from laughing again. The fierce galactic conqueror was complaining about a sore throat from all his theatrical declarations. Friendship typically involves much more comfortable conversation, Sarah assured him. Would you like to try it? Well, the Emperor said hesitantly, I suppose we could attempt this friendship protocol, but only because we are curious about your strange customs, not because we're tired of being intimidating all the time. Dr. Webb smiled. Of course, Your Magnificence. We understand completely. As the human crew prepared for their first, real, diplomatic conversation with an alien species, none of them could have predicted that this ridiculous first contact would soon become the most important alliance in galactic history. But that story would have to wait, because their sensors were already detecting something else approaching from the outer system, something that would make the theatrical hegemony's claims about galactic conquest seem like a children's bedtime. Story Part 2, The Real Threat and Alliance. 3 hours after the initial contact with the hegemony, the human fleet was engaged in the strangest diplomatic session in history. Emperor Xylothian had dropped most of his theatrical persona and was actually quite pleasant to talk to when he wasn't trying to sound terrifying. The conversation was going well until Lieutenant Rivera's face suddenly went pale. Commander, Alex called out urgently, I'm detecting multiple contacts approaching from the outer system. Whatever they are, they're moving fast and they're not broadcasting any identification signals. Sarah hurried to the tactical display. 15 massive objects were approaching at incredible speed, their energy signatures unlike anything in human or hegemony databases. These ships were angular, crystalline structures that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Emperor Xylothian, Dr. Webb called over the communication channel. Are you expecting other visitors? The Emperor's voice came back immediately, and for the first time since contact began, he sounded genuinely frightened. Those are not our ships. We have never seen anything like those energy signatures before. Before anyone could respond, the space around both fleets filled with a harsh buzzing sound that made everyone cover their ears. Unlike the Emperor's theatrical communications, this new voice was cold, mechanical, and utterly hostile. Carbon-based. Life forms detected. Silicon superiority will be demonstrated. Organic entities will be processed for useful materials. Resistance is inefficient. Rosa Santos looked up from her engineering console with alarm. Commander, these new contacts are using technology I've never seen before. Their power output is off the charts, and their hull composition appears to be some kind of living crystal. The crystalline ships moved into attack formation with terrifying efficiency. No theatrical displays, no dramatic speeches, just cold, calculated preparation for extermination. Emperor Xylothian's voice crackled over the communication channel, all pretense of imperial dignity gone. Humans, we have no weapons that can harm those ships. Our mighty war fleet was never designed for actual combat. General Kravex's voice joined the conversation, panic evident in his tone. The crystal ships are targeting our vessels. Emperor, what do we do? Our intimidation techniques won't work on machines. Sarah made a split-second decision that would change the course of galactic history. All human ships, battle stations. Rosa, I need maximum power to weapons and shields. Alex, open a channel to the hegemony fleet. Emperor Xylothian, move your ships behind ours. We'll protect you while we figure out how to deal with these crystal ships. You would protect us? the Emperor asked in amazement. But we tried to conquer you. You tried to put on a really impressive show, Dr. Webb corrected gently. There's a difference. And right now, we're all on the same side against these crystal entities. The first wave of crystal ships opened fire with weapons that seemed to tear holes in space itself. The human ships' shields flared as they absorbed the impact, while the hegemony vessels huddled behind them like frightened children behind their parents. Direct hit on the Guardian, came a report from the escort frigate. Shields holding at 60%, but that was just one shot. Rosa was working frantically at her console. Commander, I'm analyzing the crystal ship's technology. They're using some kind of quantum disruption weapons, but there's something strange about their targeting systems. They seem to have trouble tracking erratic movement patterns. Erratic movement patterns? Sarah asked. You mean like random maneuvers? Exactly. It's like their computers are designed to predict logical, efficient movements. Chaos confuses them. Emperor Xylothian's voice suddenly brightened over the communication channel. Did someone say chaos and erratic movement? Because that's basically all we know how to do. Our entire military doctrine is based on dramatic, unpredictable displays. Dr. Webb realized what the Emperor was suggesting. Your magnificence, are you saying your theatrical battle formations might actually be useful against these crystal ships? Our dance of inevitable surrender is the most unpredictable maneuver in known space, General Kravex declared proudly. No one has ever been able to predict where our ships will move next because half the time we don't know ourselves, Sarah looked at her tactical display as another wave of crystal ships approached. The situation was desperate, but maybe desperate times called for theatrical solutions. Emperor, can your ships perform your dancing maneuvers while staying close to our fleet? We can provide the firepower, but we need you to confuse their targeting systems. It would be our honor, the Emperor declared, his theatrical voice returning full force. Behold, crystal entities, you face the combined might of the magnificent galactic hegemony and our new allies, the honorable humans of Earth. What followed was the strangest space battle in galactic history. The hegemony ships began performing their elaborate dance-like maneuvers around the human fleet, their movements so random and artistic that the crystal ships' targeting computers couldn't get a lock on them. Meanwhile, the human ships used their superior weapons to strike at the confused crystal vessels. It's working, Rosa called out excitedly. The crystal ships can't target the hegemony vessels, and every time they try to focus on us, a hegemony ship spins past and breaks their targeting lock. Lieutenant Rivera was coordinating the combined fleet movements. Emperor, can you have your ships perform that spinning maneuver again? It's driving the crystal ship's computers crazy. With pleasure, General Kravex, initiate the whirlwind of artistic destruction. The hegemony ships began spinning and weaving through space in patterns that were part ballet, part chaos theory. The crystal ships fired repeatedly but couldn't hit anything. Their logical, computer-driven minds simply couldn't process the illogical beauty of the hegemony's movements. Dr. Webb watched the battle with fascination. Commander, this is incredible. The hegemony's artistic approach to warfare is the perfect counter to the crystal ship's logical targeting systems. Emperor Xylothian's voice came over the channel, filled with genuine pride for the first time since contact began. For 3,000 years, other species have mocked our theatrical approach to conflict, but now it saves the galaxy. The battle raged for 2 hours. The crystal ships, faced with targets they couldn't predict and human weapons they couldn't counter, began to retreat. But before they left, their mechanical voice delivered one final message. Unexpected variables detected. Carbon-silicon cooperation. Proves inefficient to process. Withdrawal initiated. This sector marked for future study. As the crystal ships disappeared into the darkness of space, both fleets found themselves alone again. But everything had changed. Emperor Xylothian, Sarah said warmly, I think we need to have a serious conversation about mutual defense treaties. The Emperor's voice came back, no longer theatrical but filled with genuine gratitude. Commander Chen, would it be presumptuous of me to say that this was the beginning of a beautiful friendship? Dr. Webb laughed. Your Magnificence, I think you're learning human culture faster than we expected. Over the following days, as both fleets remained in the area to establish formal diplomatic relations, the humans learned that the hegemony was, indeed, a peaceful civilization. Their theatrical approach to conflict had evolved because they'd never actually wanted to hurt anyone. They had developed intimidation techniques as a way to avoid real violence, hoping to scare potential enemies away without fighting. We've been alone in our corner of the galaxy for so long, Emperor Xylothian admitted during one of their diplomatic sessions. We developed our dramatic personas because we were afraid of what we might find if we ventured further into space. It turns out we were right to be afraid but wrong about what we should fear. The real threat isn't each other, General Kravex added. It's the kind of entities that see all life as just raw materials to be processed. Rosa Santos had been studying the crystal ship's technology with the hegemony scientists. The interesting thing is that their theatrical approach to warfare is actually quite sophisticated from a tactical standpoint. All that choreography requires incredible coordination and timing. And, Dr. Webb added, their art is genuinely beautiful. Once you get past the conquest rhetoric, the hegemony has created some of the most spectacular displays I've ever seen. As the diplomatic mission concluded and both fleets prepared to return to their respective homes, Emperor Xylothian made a request that would reshape galactic politics. Commander Chen, Dr. Webb, would humanity be interested in a mutual defense pact? The crystal entities will return, and when they do, we'll need to work together. We'd be honored, Sarah replied. But perhaps we could also establish some cultural exchange programs. I think our species have a lot to learn from each other. Agreed, the Emperor declared, his theatrical voice returning in full force. Behold, the beginning of the magnificent alliance between the glorious human federation and the artistic hegemony of the stars. Dr. Webb smiled. Some things never change. As the human fleet prepared to return to Earth with news of their successful first contact, Sarah Chen reflected on how the mission had turned out. They'd gone looking for alien civilizations and found a community theater group in space. They'd expected either friendship or conflict, but instead found themselves laughing until their sides hurt. But most importantly, they'd learned that in a universe full of genuine threats, the ability to find joy, beauty, and friendship in unexpected places might be humanity's greatest strength. The theatrical hegemony had shown them that sometimes the most effective weapon against a cold, logical enemy was pure chaotic creativity. And as both fleets went their separate ways, they carried with them the knowledge that they were no longer alone in the universe. The galaxy was a big, dangerous place, but it was also full of potential friends who might just surprise you with their cosmic dance moves. The crystal ships would return eventually, but when they did, they would face not just human technology or hegemony artistry, but the combined power of two species who had learned that laughter and friendship could be the most powerful forces in the galaxy. After all, what could be more human than making friends with the galaxy's most theatrical aliens and saving the universe through the power of interpretive dance?